I'm going to refute Ethan Light's speech. His proposition is that tattoos and piercings are discriminated against in society, which causes harm to the workforce. My opponent has three secondary claims. His first secondary claim states that a sizable amount of people in today's society view tattoos and other piercings such as lip piercings, nose piercings, and gauge earrings to be offensive. In the first secondary claim, the claim is not connected to the proposition because it does not explain that tattoos and piercing discrimination causes harm to the workforce. The claim just states how people in today's society find people with tattoos and piercings offensive. Furthermore, the evidence is unacceptable. The first piece of evidence is personal experience about the advocate and his friends, that they are looked by people and the people find them offensive because of the tattoos and piercings. This is making a generalization that everyone finds tattoos and piercings offensive. This is not convincing enough. It's not convincing enough to believe that people in today's society think this way towards tattoos and piercings. The last piece of evidence is deceitful, because the speaker stated that the states Rhode Island and South Carolina prohibit tattooing. The states Rhode Island and South Carolina do not prohibit tattooing. According to the National Conference of State Legislators in Rhode Island, the state law of tattooing and body piercing prohibits tattooing or piercing a minor who is not accompanied by his or her consenting parent or guardian. Furthermore, according to the National Conference of State Legislators in South Carolina, the state law of tattooing prohibits tattooing anyone under the age of 21. If a person is at least 18, they may get a tattoo with parental consent. This shows that the evidence is wrong. My opponent's secondary claim is that the workplace discriminates against those with visible tattoos and piercings that exceed the standard piercing of the ears. In the secondary claim, it is also not connected to the proposition because it does not show how discrimination against tattoos and piercings causes harm to the workforce. In addition, most of the evidence is personal experience, which makes it unacceptable. The first personal experience states that his friend that works at Petco was approached by his boss regarding his stretched ears and told that customers find them offensive. For that reason, he has to scale down the size of his earrings. The other personal experience is that a friend was told to remove his earrings even though he was a mascot for a fast food chain and the customers cannot see his piercings. It is unacceptable because there is no way to prove that this information is true. The advocate could have just made up this information to use it as evidence. Furthermore, his last piece of evidence is dishonest because the speaker stated that his employer, U.S. Hockey, told him that he could not wear his earrings when he was working because of the Rule 305C. According to the 2009-2011 official rules in Casebook of Ice Hockey, Rule 305C states that the exception for adults, no player or goalkeeper shall be permitted on the ice while wearing jewelry unless it is completely covered by equipment or taped to the body. This shows that the evidence is false and is misinterpreted. Furthermore, the evidence of the court case of Cloutier versus Costco is manipulated by the speaker by changing the reason why the court sided with Costco. The advocate stated that the court ruled against Cloutier because of discrimination, which is dishonest. First of all, in accordance to the ruling to the court of Cloutier versus Costco, Costco offered Cloutier 2 reasonable accommodations that would have resolved any conflict between Cloutier's religious beliefs and Costco's dress code. However, Cloutier ignored both offers and then argued that no accommodation short of an exception from Costco's dress code would have solved her religious conflict. Costco is not required to make the exception for her because of Title VII. Title VII requires an employer to reasonably accommodate an employee's religious beliefs or demonstrate its inability to make such accommodations without undue hardship, which basically means that if one of the accommodations harms the company, then they don't have to do that. Costco already made accommodations for her, but she ignored them. Furthermore, it would cause problems for Costco if they had a company Cotire's exception from Costco's dress code, because Costco wants to have a workforce that looks professional. This shows that the court siding with Costco is not discrimination, because according to the ruling to the court of Cotire vs. Costco has a legitimate business interest in presenting a workforce to its customers that is reasonably professional in appearance. My opponent's third secondary claim is that this type of discrimination will ultimately harm the workforce in the United States. The third secondary claim is suggested by the speaker by making the assumption from the evidence that 15 to 20% of the United States population will be out of a job because they have tattoos. This is incorrect because people still get hired even though they have tattoos. For instance, according to John Challenger, Chief Executive Officer of the Chicago-based firm, some employers are already having trouble finding skilled workers, and they are not going to let some bodyguard get in the way of hiring the best qualified candidate. Additionally, according to Tom O'Keefe, founder and chairman of Tully's Coffee, states that employees need to cover their tattoos and limit piercings to their ears. Furthermore, people can just cover up their tattoos when at work. For instance, according to Michael Sachs, 24, who works at public relations firm Shea Hedges Group in McLean, Virginia, has 3 tattoos that cannot be seen when he has his work clothes. When he's wearing his work clothes, I mean. This shows that people with tattoos don't get hired. Lastly, this illustrates that the third secondary claim is mostly incorrect because people are still hired with tattoos. My conclusion is that I think that the impact of my refutation is that it shows how a person can have a lot of misleading evidence and manipulate evidence. Furthermore, the information can sound realistic and authentic, but in actuality it is not. Lastly, it shows that it is important to research the evidence to make sure it is true before believing the advocate's proposition and claims.
All right, there are a lot of things about the speech that work really well. I thought that you had a good labeling of the claim and the secondary claims, and on each of the points you developed some good criticism of the evidence and the reasoning that was being used. I think you could challenge the reasoning a little bit more on the second and the third points. You did a pretty good job on the first point. And then you had good counterclaims on each of those points. For instance, information on the first point that denies the claim that the advocate presented about the states with restrictions on tattoos or prohibitions on tattoos, the information about the hockey rules, and about the court ruling. I do think you want to be careful about making the inference that the advocate is lying or manipulating the information. There could be a negative consequence of that. It could hurt your credibility, make it sound like it's a personal attack. Just kind of stick to the facts. Here's what the advocate said, but here's what the evidence actually says, and so the problem is that the advocate can't reach the conclusion given the evidence that's presented. Because I don't think you want to get to the point where you're going liar, liar, pants on fire. You know, that's not really the value of the criticism that you've got. I thought you did an excellent job developing information on this point and presenting it in the argument, especially on that third point. All right, thank you.